Welcome back, everybody, to another nerd review. Today we are going to be talking about episode 3 from the Obi-Wan series. I'm going to just start off quickly with what I'm giving it. This is solid 9.4 episode. Really good. Really, it delves, it dives into the emotional aspect of what Obi-Wan's going through a lot more, and we finally get to see Darth Vader in action, which was fucking incredible. Really good stuff. So yeah, let me just go into the actual summary, I guess, breakdown of the episode, and why I liked it so much. So we start the episode with Obi-Wan's on the transport. He's trying to communicate with Qui-Gon, but he's now having all these flashbacks and stuff. Not like visible flashbacks. We get a lot of him hearing like old things, like Qui-Gon's like, you know, make sure you train the boy. We hear I think Anakin, like some stuff that Anakin says and Yoda says and everything. Things that you heard back in the prequels. You don't ever actually get a visible flashback. He's having these PTSD moments, super dark, super gritty, which I really like. I like this, like the dark stuff that is going on in this show. It's not really anything that we haven't seen Star Wars be this dark, I don't think, ever. The closest would be something like Empire Strikes Back, Revenge of the Sith, and Rogue One. And if you take out the Disney one-liners, you can say the same thing about episode 8, those Disney Marvel one-liners. This episode is probably one of the darkest things I've seen in Star Wars in general, and I am all for that. I'm a sick fuck, so this is the type of stuff that I really like. It has a lot of emotional weight to it. So yeah, we see Obi-Wan trying to contact Qui-Gon. Doesn't happen. Him and Leia end up going to this planet. I forget the name of the planet. It was like a I can't remember what the planet was for. It was like for mining or something. They go there and they go to the coordinates that fake Jedi gave them in the last episode. And they're trying to find their way to these coordinates. They get to the coordinates. There's nobody there to meet them. Which obviously ends up being a bad thing for them because they're looking for this help that they need to get Leia back to Alderaan. So now they're kind of exposed again. This guy comes driving by and Leia's like, hey, we need a ride. And Obi-Wan's like, no, don't do this. We're trying to stay on the down low. She doesn't understand because she's from Alderaan where life is pretty normal there. There she's up and in a upper echelon, I guess, in terms of where she is in society, being that she is the princess, and whatnot. So they end up getting on there. But before they even get on this car, though, there's this interesting part where Obi-Wan looks off in the distance and there's a cloaked figure, and they turn around and it's Anakin Skywalker, and it ends up just being a vision. But Obi-Wan is completely he's haunted by the fact that he now knows Anakin's still alive. So this is partially him looking around for Anakin, but also having these flashbacks. And I'm not sure if he understood that it was a vision or not there, because he is very fucked up right now. And he even looks at Leia. He's like, stay close and everything, blah blah blah, because this is obviously a very brutal thing that he's going through. And now that he knows that Anakin's still there, it's he could be anywhere because he knows that Anakin / Vader is out to get him now, which obviously is a terrible thing for him to be going through right now, because Vader is a very terrifying person. So they end up getting on this transport. They end up having this thing with stormtroopers where they think they get them because they're going by, Obi-Wan and Leia are going by two different names, and then Obi-Wan accidentally calls her Leia, and then there's this whole thing where Leia's ends up going after the stormtroopers get off the transport. She's like, "You did know my mother and father, or you did know my mother," and then she's like, Are you my real father?" And he's like, "No, I wish I was," and everything. And, it was definitely like an emotional scene to go through. They end up getting to a checkpoint where there's a probe droid that's out to looking specifically for Obi-Wan that was sent out by the Inquisitors and Vader, and Obi-Wan ends up going badass, uncivilized antics and shoots the probe droid, shoots all the stormtroopers, and then him and Leia are on their go on what they think is their way, and then this other transport stormtrooper shows up, offs the Imperial officer with them, ends up actually being a good guy, takes out the stormtroopers for Obi-Wan, and then brings them to safety. Now, this is where things are getting a little interesting, and the timeline is starting to get very interesting and what we can see in the future. So they end up going to this place, and it's kind of like this there's this back room with a tunnel that they can lead to bring Leia to safety to get her back to Alderaan. And in that tunnel, there is a message from Quinlan Vos from the Clone Wars. I don't know if you guys remember him. And Obi-Wan was like, he was here, and then the fake Imperial officer, she's like, yeah, he comes here and smuggles, Force-sensitive users and ex-Jedi and everything to help get them to safety. And she brings up a point that the Empire's just killing anybody that's Force-sensitive. It doesn't matter if they're Jedi or not anymore. So if they sense the Force, you're gone. So he's been saving them. So he's still alive and out there somewhere. I wonder if we'll get him live action. But then Vader comes into the city, and he is fucking shit up. So he comes down into the city. Obi-Wan tells that fake Imperial officer and Leia to go through the tunnel. He'll hold Vader or keep Vader away and everything, blah, blah, blah. They run through the tunnel, and Obi-Wan just sees Vader for the first time. There's this really awesome part where they finally come face to face, both of them with lightsabers ignited and out, and Obi-Wan goes, "What have you become?" And Vader goes, "What you made me." It was like, ooh, just the pure hatred for Obi-Wan at this point, which I feel bad because Obi-Wan had to do what he had to do. What was going on with Anakin, like, it was his own fault for the turn to the dark side. And so there's like this little bit of like this, it's more Obi-Wan running away. They end up getting into a little scuffle with a lightsaber duel and everything, but Obi-Wan is just in pure defense mode. He can't even really fight back against Vader because, one, we know he's been disconnected from the Force entirely the past 10 years. First time he's ignited his lightsaber in 10 years. But also with the emotions that are going through him and everything, and seeing what Anakin has become is just terrifying. Because Vader, when he first walks into the city, is literally just killing people for no reason. He's just snapping their necks with the Force. It's really messed up. It was very brutal. And, now Obi-Wan sees him for the first time as, like, full dark side. He's like, oh my god, this is terrible. And they end up going through this entire thing. I loved it because seeing this psychological torture that Obi-Wan is going through. I told you guys before, I'm fucked up for liking this stuff, so I'm sorry, but it's better storytelling than just a fairy tale storytelling that we get all the time, where like the good guys always win and always have like this great life. But anyhow, so this psychological torture he's going through just makes it so good. You can really see the emotion and everything, and Vader's just out for blood. And they end up getting to this point where Vader he completely overpowers Obi-Wan, lights the ground on fire, and is using the Force to drag Obi-Wan through it. And he's like, now you'll suffer like I did, or something like that. And I'm like, oh my god, he wants Obi-Wan to burn alive. This man, and like prior to him even doing that, he told Obi-Wan, he said, you should have killed me. And I was like, instead of like making him suffer, and I'm like, oh my god, this dude is just Vader's a freak in this. Obi-Wan ends up getting saved by that fake Imperial officer because she ends up leaving the tunnel. Leia convinces her to, and ends up like shooting the stormtroopers that are surrounding, that are because stormtroopers end up coming in while Obi-Wan's burning, and Vader cuts off the fire and tells them to like grab him so then he can execute him or something. The stormtrooper that comes up gets shot by that fake Imperial trooper. And Vader's already used the force to put Vader out of the vicinity of where the fire was. So then after she shoots that stormtrooper, she shoots to reignite the fire, so then it separates the two sides, and then there's this droid that comes in that picks Obi-Wan up and brings him away. However, we see that Vader still wants to get to Obi-Wan at some point. That like the search is definitely not done, but Reva ends up finding Leia and taking her again. So shit is hitting the fan. Obi-Wan is at his lowest point right now because he just got fucking manhandled. Leia is taken again by Reva. I think in episode 4, we maybe seeing Obi-Wan going back to training. He's going back to the Jedi textbooks, and he's going to learn how to be a Jedi again because he was clearly rusty, clearly has zero connection to the Force. Like, even the Force was barely protecting him at this point. He was so far gone from it. I think episode 4, we're going to start seeing him start to get back to his ways that we used to see him back in, like, the Clone Wars and everything. Going to see the guy that was able to take on Darth Maul, General Grievous, vaguely Count Dooku. He still got tossed around by Count Dooku a bit, but I think we're going to see the same guy that was able to battle. Because I would argue that Anakin Skywalker in episode 3 is more powerful than any Vader we ever see. So we're going to see the guy who was powerful enough to, I know he's not as powerful as Anakin could have been, but based off of things I have read, Obi-Wan may be the most powerful Jedi to ever live because he maximized his training to maximize his midichlorian count, which I know people are going to freak out about. Oh, midichlorians. But, and we even get that in, like, episode 1, the recap of episodes 1 through 3. Anakin specifically says that he's as wise as Yoda and as powerful as Mace Windu. And Mace Windu was powerful enough to take down Palpatine, and Yoda was just Yoda. So I think we're going to see Obi-Wan get back to his ways. I think it's going to, it's still going to be dark and emotional, but I think it's going to be more Obi-Wan's getting back, gaining that hope again, and I can't wait for next week. Solid 9.4 episode, super dives into like the psychological aspect of things way more, and we get to see just way more of this emotional side of everything that's going on. And I can't wait to see what we have in store and how Obi-Wan comes back from getting his ass handed to him. But I'll see you guys next week for episode 4 review. Nerds out.